So this is a 1,000-piece puzzle from Blanc Puzzles with this beautiful scene of Austria. I am pretty sure that's Austria. I'm pretty sure that's Hallstatt. Um, I might be wrong. But basically, this was a challenging puzzle for a couple of reasons. One is Blanc Puzzles have glossy topped pieces. And because I usually do puzzles at night, I'm working under overhead lighting that throws off a lot of glare. And so it's harder for me to see the pieces and to figure out what patterns are on the pieces. The other challenge with this puzzle was that it's a vertical puzzle. I knew that objectively going in, but I didn't realize how vertical the puzzle was, as in how much space it was going to take up on my table. And so you'll see later in the video that actually became a little bit of an issue. But I started by pulling a couple of different types of pieces. One, just doing the border. I knew it was a vertical puzzle. I wanted to be sure that I had enough space on the table or I could flip the puzzle if I needed to. The other was pulling the bright chunks. So most of this puzzle, as you can kind of see from the image in the corner, was pretty dark and hard to see a lot of patterns in. And so there were a couple bright buildings and a couple bright lights on the tops of buildings. So as I saw those bright pieces, I pulled them and started to assemble them just so I had some chunks that were done. There's a coffee break right there. So continuing to assemble, my strategy here was again pulling those light pieces, which is making the bottom right hand of the corner, as well as doing some of the border. One of the challenges here was that there's a pretty big sky at the top of this puzzle, and because I was working with glare, it was actually hard for me to see the difference in a lot of the sky pieces. And so what you're seeing me do here is a little bit of kind of just shape sorting as I work on this top edge. I decided to do that top edge first, even though it's probably not the most strategically best idea, because I knew it was a vertical puzzle and I was going to push that up the table. One of the challenges I find is that with vertical puzzles, or even sometimes 1,000-piece puzzles, if I don't do the top at the beginning, I end up having to bend over the table and to reach the top of the puzzle to assemble quickly. And that's just not very comfortable and not very much fun. So I decided to do that part of the puzzle first, kind of get it out of the way. So you can see now what's happened is I've done part of the sky. I gave up on the rest of the sky because it just wasn't clicking. And I decided to switch over to building part of the line between the mountains and the sky. And with the idea that if I built the line between the mountains and the sky, it would be a lot easier to then see, okay, how much sky is left and how do I shape sort this if I need to just get this built. You can see now that I've gotten that mountain line built, I'm moving much faster on the sky, and I'm not fully shape sorted, but partially shape sorted to help speed up finishing the sky even more. So now I had to stop, and unfortunately I deleted the video that shows me getting to this point, but basically, oops. Basically, after I finished the sky, I pushed the puzzle up on the table, finished the border, and then started to build these buildings in the middle. And the reason I went for these buildings is that because they have the bright spots, it was easier for me to first find the bright spots that I had been building from the beginning, place them, and then connect them to create this background, rather than continuing to try to build down, because that mountain in the sort of upper left, that mountain is really hard to see. And, you know, it's not 100% obvious from the video, but it's getting darker and darker in the room that I'm puzzling in. And as you can see, I'm shape sorting now in the bottom left-hand corner as I'm trying different dark pieces and hoping that they work. They're not working as well as I hope in many cases. So one of the challenges here again is it's just hard for me to actually see any differentiation in these pieces other than their shapes. You can kind of see the glare in the bottom left that I'm working with on the table. One other note about the Blanc puzzles pieces, they're a little slippery, and so there are a few moments in the video where you can see me sort of pull away from the table. That's usually because I have accidentally thrown a piece on the floor. The other challenge is that I work on a white puzzle table, which is not a great color for puzzling because the back of these pieces are also white. And so it's sometimes a little bit tricky to actually see, hey, I threw some pieces onto the table, where did they go? Fortunately, the carpet under my puzzle table is blue, which is terrible for Ravensburger puzzles, but great for Blanc puzzles because it's easy to see the pieces I have dropped. I'm terrible at dropping pieces. So you can see here I'm slowing down quite a bit, and I'm continuing to just try to get pieces in, shape sorting quite a bit of the puzzle. My strategy with shape sorting is usually not to stop assembling and shape sort, but to shape sort as I go. When I reach a point where I feel like I'm slowing down, as I grab pieces and try them, I put them back into shape sorted piles. Or I'll try to grab a handful of pieces with the same shape, try them and put them back, do that over and over rather than stopping and sorting. That's mostly, I just don't like stopping when I'm assembling. I think there are a lot of speed puzzlers who have really different opinions on that. I actually moved around to the other side of the table at this point to keep building. Having the vertical puzzle where I was leaning all the way over the puzzle was not a lot of fun. You can tell that I'm getting a little tired of puzzling. I am resting on a hand now rather than actually using two hands to build the puzzle. Obviously, strategically, it's way better to use two hands. And I am not particularly good at that and actually need to practice. What's interesting is that this puzzle was really slow for me. And from this point, I still have about 45 minutes where I'm building before it's done. Which, the puzzle came in about 3.5 hours, which is slow for me for 1,000 piece. Not surprising given the light conditions, giving sort of the general colors on the puzzle, given my very long snack break right here. My coffee has come back with me. You can tell that I'm getting a little annoyed with this puzzle. So basically, I slowed down a lot at the end. I knew I wasn't really going for time. I don't compete on Blanc puzzles. You compete mostly on Ravensburger. Officially, it's Ravensburger. I do speak German, so I'm sure somewhere someone's going to correct me. But Ravensburger. So because you don't compete on Blanc puzzles, I'm a little bit less strict with how I practice them. But I'm just finishing up here. We're hitting about the 3.5 hour mark, and I've lost a piece.